Welcome to Chromatic Counsel podcast, the podcast where law, leadership, and color collide. I'm your host, Carrie Heaps, and I have a great show lined up for you today. This show is part of our segment featuring products, services, and books that are helpful to you if you are in the practice of law, whether you're an attorney or a paralegal, or even just somebody who works within a law firm. So today I have a great guest who is rejoining us, which is Nicole Chaplin. And Nicole has written a book, and that's why I wanted to have her back on the show. So for those of you who didn't see her the first time, I just want to read a really brief bio here. Nicole's the author and a certified dream builder coach who's passionate about helping individuals discover their true purpose. With both a BA and an MBA, she brings deep knowledge and a heart to coaching others through their unique personal journey. And I want to go ahead and welcome to the show my former client, my colleague, and I now call my friend, Nicole Chaplin. Nicole, welcome. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's awesome to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I'm excited. I'm excited about this conversation. I know, just for everybody who's tuning in, I had gotten an email from Nicole and right before Christmas, and I thought I was going to get like a Christmas card in the mail, and she actually sent me a copy of her new book. So I just want to kind of feature this here. Hopefully, everybody can kind of see it. How to find your why, and I think my camera's kind of like going in and out a little bit with the. Let's see here. I might be going in too close, but
Yeah.
it's how to
Yes.
find your why. There we go. You can see a little bit of that. So this is available on Amazon. I have a link in the show notes, so anybody who is interested, I highly recommend get a copy of this book. But I was so excited to have it, and I immediately started to just dive through it over the holidays, and I'm like, I started highlighting, and I'm like, I might as well just highlight the whole book. I mean, it's that good. So I just kind of reached out to her and I'm like, look, we need to have you back on the show. I think this is a great book for any attorney who is really struggling right now, maybe facing that burnout part of their career or they're feeling burnt out. Um, because I think our why, like, why are we here? You know, we all serve a purpose of why we're here. So I'm going to let Nicole actually talk a little bit more about that. But I want to kind of I just want to kind of start out like I'm going to go through a couple of different things that I want to just talk about, if that's okay with you. But I know when you were on the show before, I think you were in the process of writing the book, right? Or
Yes.
you were
Oh,
at the tail end of it.
yes.
Yeah. So it is done now. And
Yes.
again, it was such a great treat to see. I was like, oh my gosh, here's the book. This is wonderful. Um, but like even in your introduction, I just want to kind of start there. One of the things that you wrote here, and I'm just going to kind of read this briefly, but it said, you know, well-meaning friends kept pointing out, look at all our colleagues who are now out on the street. It could have been us. Translation, keep your head down, keep working, and don't complain. But talk like that did nothing to fill the void I was feeling. And I highlighted that because I think like even as an entrepreneur, we sometimes get stuck there, you know, because we're just sort of in that minutia of we got to pay our bills. We need to, you know, we can't stop. We have to do what works. What's the market calling us to do? And what we're really called to do, what we love to do, sort of just piddles away almost. But talk to me about that sentence because that's in your intro. Um, what, you know, looking, we're in a new year.
Yes.
Where do you see that fitting in for people?
Well, let me just take you back a little bit because my background comes from corporate where you prepare, you work hard, you show up every day, and that drive that says, I've got the qualifications, I've got the credentials, I'm doing the hard work. I just have to keep doing it and it will get me where I want to go. But if we're really honest, in many cases, a Carrie, there's a void there's an ache there that we have not really spent the time to answer. That
Mhm.
was the ache that led me, I'll have to say, to write this book. That was the void. that led me to write this book because I really had not answered that question. Even
Hmm.
though I was working hard, yes, I, to some extent had a certain level of success by my definition.
Hmm.
Ache and the void was still there. And the worst part of it, the most insidious part of it, it was also leading me to burnout
Hmm.
because you cannot work hard enough to fill that void if you have not answered the ultimate question, which is, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I know, we talk about, well, obviously you have to pay the rent, you have to take care of your financial obligations, you have to take care of yourself, but is it really taking care of us? Is really taking care of our well-being? And if you think of it, a year down the road, if you keep doing that, right? Because we're doing the thing that we think we need to do to fill the momentary gap, right?
Hmm.
That momentary gap. A year down the road, a year has gone by. Where is it leading us?
Hmm.
And now you've invested that whole year, right? And
Right.
now it becomes 2 years. And now you're even further in, but have you really asked yourself, ultimately in 5 years, if I keep doing this to fill this little gap that I'm trying to fill, where is where will this all lead me in 5 years?
Hmm.
And if we're really honest with ourselves, we had not really sat down to figure out, okay, I may need to bridge my way to where I ultimately need to be, but I
Hmm.
need to understand fully and completely, why am I doing this? And I'll give you many examples as we go further along with this discussion
Hmm.
as to the reason it is so important for us to be honest with ourselves and to get beneath just filling the gap.
Hmm.
Yes.
And and too, and I think for anybody who is listening, again, I think everybody has bad days, but everybody, I think at some point has questioned, or they're like, yeah, and I think if you're on that path where you're like, no, I love what I'm doing and I'm where I need to be, I think that's great. But I think the reality is a lot of people are not. I think they get peer pressure when they're in school and like, hey, you need to pick a major. Well, I don't know what I want to do. And they wind up picking something and they get into that field and they hate it.
Yes.
And then they're still asking, I don't know what I'd like to do. I don't know. And I do think that's something that really needs to change in our school systems,
Yes.
where they really need to have more people come in and say, hey, this is what I do for a living, and
Yes.
who wants to learn more about this, and really, because I think we put way too much pressure on our youth that, hey, you're 18 now, you got to go to college and you need to figure out your major, what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I didn't figure out what I wanted to do until I was in my mid 30s. I was like, I mean, it took me that long.
Yes.
um and I think there's some people, unfortunately, they go through their whole life and they never figure it out. And sometimes you can tell
Yes.
who those people are. And to me, I think it's so sad. And I think it's never too late. If you're listening to this and you're in your, I mean, I'll be 52 in February.
Yes.
And it's like, even if you're my age and you're like, oh, I'm just now realizing this is what I want to do, it's never too late to start.
I
It's,
yes, I couldn't agree with you even more, Carrie, because when you're in school and you think about lining up your career, you line up your career with what you think is going to earn you income.
mhm,
Is that really the best way to line it up, though? When you listen to people who have successful lives, either financially or they're in the philanthropic field or what have you. People like Ray Dalio, they will say things like, I first of all figured out what my nature was and what I really wanted to do.
mhm,
And he will say things, and when you read his biography, he will say things like, I never really set out to create money or a successful company. I wanted to understand finances, for example. I
mhm.
wanted that's why he did it, right?
Yeah.
And you listen to a lot of other people who have achieved a certain level of success. They didn't start out by lining up their lives and once they got out of college with, well, I want to make this much money.
Yeah.
They lined it up with, what is my nature? What is it that I really like to do?
Hmm.
Granted, you may not figure it out in the very beginning, but as you go along, you'll put it together bit by bit by bit. And as you say, it's never too late. But we only have one life,
Hmm.
and this is
Yeah.
it. This is
And
it.
something else you said in the book here, sometimes we slip into denial, hoping to avoid risk by ignoring reality. Risk taking is inevitable, especially since the greatest risk is that you might entirely miss living out your highest potential or connecting with the life you secretly wish you could experience. And I thought that was so powerful and it's so true. And I think a lot of times too, people, and I'm sure you've had clients that have done this, that they can't let go of that what they call security. And at
Yes.
the end of the day, if
Yes.
anything that the past 5 years I think has taught all of us is that there is no security. There is no, you just because you have a job and you've had it for 10 years or 20 years. And I did it for research for this particular episode, but there's so many people who are on like I watch it on YouTube, but they'll do the TikTok videos and people from YouTube pull them and make up their own video of people who are blindsided. They got laid off. They don't have their job anymore and it's like they're in shock. They've been in a car accident or something. Like they were really, really emotional.
Yes.
And most of them have a running theme. They didn't see it coming.
No, and you won't. And isn't that the riskiest thing, though, Carrie, when you have just the one job and you think this is security? Isn't that the riskiest thing when you think of it? I mean,
Mhm,
the better thing to do would be to line up different things, whether it be, things that you do as a side hustle, things that you explore, but not think that your job in any way can ever give you security. It never, it cannot give you security,
mhm,
right? The only thing that gives you security is lining up who you are at your core with what it is that you want to do with your life. And that doesn't mean that you have to do one single thing,
mhm,
right? And it's never been as easy as today to do more than one thing, not
mhm,
to lead you to burnout, but there's so many different ways you can do it without having the overwhelm and the
mhm,
am I doing what I really want to do, right?
mhm,
Today, the possibilities are more open than ever before. And
mhm,
again, we don't want to lead into even more overwhelm or into more burnout. But what we want to do is to align our lives in the best way possible with the thing that is most fulfilling for us. And I can
mhm,
tell you when I was in corporate and you show up and you're prepared and uh, you're always ready, you're always on.
mhm.
But I can tell you that it was not the most fulfilling thing for me.
Yeah. And I
The
think
aspect
for, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say the aspect of it that led me to coaching, which was most fulfilling for me, was coaching other people on my team. But
Mhm,
then I had to pay attention to that to get over into what I really was meant to do and the thing that gives me the greatest amount of satisfaction and the greatest amount of fulfillment. And that is something that I so want everyone to know, that it is possible to tap into the thing that gives you the greatest fulfillment. And we all know that it is impossible to do great work unless you feel fulfilled. You
mhm.
will do massive amounts of work, and work, that word massive has been now in our zeitgeist and it's been elevated. And you can do massive amounts of work and still you feel a void, you feel unfulfilled, you still wonder, well, where will this get me in 5 years? Right?
And I actually had someone who had asked me because I was talking about your book, and they're like, "Well, how do you know when you stumbled upon why you're here? Like, how do you know?" And I'm like, and I'm going to let you answer this, but my response was, I said, "You'll know. Just like when you fall in love with it's the right person, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
You
Yes.
just you feel it in your body, your gut." But I was going to have you answer that because I'm sure people are asking, "Well, I don't know what I want to do. I feel too overwhelmed. Like, how am I supposed to figure this
I
out?"
I totally agree with you. Your gut will tell you, your central nervous system will tell you. And in the book, I have certain tools that will help you. And one of the tools that can help you is the tool that I spoke about, about beam, your
Hmm.
beam, BEAM. right? And
Hmm.
it's an acronym of, well, who do I want to become? What are the things that I want to achieve in life? And
Hmm.
when you're doing that, you want to do it at such a level that it's a really high level, so that if you hit it, or even
Hmm.
if you don't hit it, you're still doing well. So there are many tools in the book that will help you get there.
Hmm.
Now, to our earlier point, some of us are born knowing what we want to do. And
Yeah.
some of us are thrust into it either because of our environment, right?
Hmm.
In my case, I wasn't that lucky. I had to work at it. What I'm saying here, though, is the tools within this book, if you don't know what you want to do, the tools within this book will help you figure it out.
Hmm.
It will help you figure it out. If you, for example, use the BEAM methodology that I set up within the book, right, and
Hmm.
you're intentional about it, it will get you there. There's no, I mean, there's no if, ands, or but. It will get you there. It may not, we cannot guarantee that it will get you there overnight.
Hmm.
But what we want to do is set you up in such an intentional way that if you put the steps together and you determine that this step I am going to do and prove to myself that it is going to work for me, it will work for you. Then you go
Hmm.
on to the next step and on to the next step and on to the third step. It will eventually get you there. Many of us are not that lucky just to start out on the right career, and voila, we're there. Most of us are not even born in an environment that supports or nurtures us to find ourselves, right? We just don't have
Right. Environment's everything. Yeah.
we don't have that luxury, right? When I was growing up, books were my comfort because I
Hmm.
didn't have the role models around me to help me figure it out.
Hmm.
I was lucky that my dad loved to read and I picked up that from him. My mom, she didn't have a great deal of education. We didn't have a lot growing up, but she was extremely supportive for
Hmm.
me, right? So you put all those pieces together, and now we have, as we're talking about your podcast,
Hmm.
right? We have the tools. We can
Yeah.
get there, and it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I think about it, I'm so excited if we could get 1 million people together and just have a community and show them that yes, this if we get on this path, it works. That would be just amazing. I don't know about you, Carrie,
Well,
but
there's an idea for you, the why community. I mean, I think that would be a great community to have online where people can really help one another. Because again, I think like one of the questions you, and I'm not going to give everything away, but I do want to say one of the things that you have in the book that for the one of the exercises, and one of the questions here is that I would ask everybody listening is what really lights you up? Like
yes,
what sets your soul on fire? What do you love to do? Like if
yes,
you could do, to me, if you could do it all day long and not
yes,
you would do it for free, meaning
yes,
not you don't want to do it for free, but if you would do it voluntarily or
yes,
the money is out of the equation,
yes,
that's your I think to me that's a light along the way because
absolutely.
yeah, and I know like some people might be like, well, because it's interesting, attorneys who listen to this show, I've met a lot of them, and it's very interesting because a lot of them they're super smart.
Hmm.
They're very intelligent, obviously, but a lot of them have what I'm finding most of them, if they disclose it to me, they have some type of creative talent, whether
Yes,
it's they play in a band.
yes,
I was surprised how many are musicians or
yes,
like to sing.
yes,
I've met several that have written books,
yes,
or they want to write books. Or they've created like I mean a couple of them that have technical backgrounds, like they've created these apps, and
yes,
I'm like, this is amazing, and I know not everybody has that, and I'm not saying that they should, but there's so many other things that you might go into law or and even like if somebody stumbles upon the podcast and they're not an attorney, they might be like, well, I really like, I love model trains and I like
yes,
building model train sets. How am I supposed to turn, that's my true passion. Is that really my why? And I'm sure
yes.
you get questions like that, like how do I make that is it my why? And how do I monetize that to where I could
Yeah,
do it all day long,
yeah,
you
and it could
know?
absolutely be part of your why right? For example, if you're an
And I
attorney
was
or
just going to tell her, I keep wiping my nose. We're both in Florida, and I'm up here in the Panhandle area, and it's just the humidity is horrible, and my sinuses have just been off the
precisely,
charts. So I apologize. I keep touching my nose.
precisely no, but to go back to, for example, if you're an attorney, right?
Hmm.
Chances are you have other talents within being an attorney, whether it's being an artist, and you say,
Hmm.
well, well, how does that generate income for me? I think that's a backwards question. That's a backwards question to begin with. You wanted to think about, well, if I were to do this art, what would it do for my soul? How would it fulfill me? Right?
Hmm.
I'm in the artist community a bit, and I see a lot of people who are very talented. And you
Hmm.
ask them, well, what do you do? Oh, I am a teacher. Or what do you do? Oh, I am a dentist. Right?
Hmm.
But their artwork is absolutely explosive.
Yeah.
I was at Art Basel. As you know, we have Art Basel in Miami during the winter time.
Hmm.
A lot of the artists that you meet there aren't full-time artists,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
This is what lights them up, to get back to your original question, but this is what lights them up. They
Hmm.
love it, they love it, they love it, but their 9 to 5 is more of a traditional type of work. Now, then
Hmm.
you have the other kind of situation where you have an artist and they say, well, this is not making money for me. There are
Hmm.
many ways to get an agent to
Hmm.
help you to set up the business aspect of it. Same
Hmm.
thing if you're a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer, right? On
Right.
the other side, you could get someone to help on, if you wanted to make money for it, you wanted to monetize it, because you don't just, I mean, it's expensive being an artist too, right?
Hmm.
If that is your goal, that you wanted to make money from it, you
Hmm.
could also have the support of an agent or someone who is in the art community or someone who belongs to an art club,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think what if you really want to do it, you're going to find a way.
Yes,
You're going to find a way to monetize it. You're going to find a way to fund your dream. I mean, look at so many people. And I find that the people who really get, I don't want to say they're obsessed, but they like they're why you look at who's the guy who the computer the Apple, maybe it was
um,
Apple or
Apple, Jobs, Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, some people who have read his book, when because he wrote a book at one point, and he was so focused on creating the most perfect, uh, you know, whatever it is that they do
Yes,
technical
the
wise, but it's like
software and
he was
hardware.
just
Mhm,
yeah, that was his he loved it.
mhm,
I mean, I don't think anybody could I think the whole world could have came around him, and he didn't let anything
mhm,
stray from his focus.
mhm.
And because and look at what he turned that into. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
there's no limits to what could happen. People
yes,
who want to be actors, it's the same thing. If they have a passion for acting or a passion
mhm,
for the stage, they make it happen. And usually those are the people that I see when you hear their story later. It's
yes,
like, oh my gosh,
mhm,
Madonna is actually a good example of that.
yes,
A lot of people, and I don't know how many people know her background, but when she started out, I mean, she was literally like living on people's sofas, going from place to place.
mhm,
They would have like $10 for the week for food. And I think she lived in New York. So I can only imagine,
yeah,
even though that was back in the late 70s, early 80s, how far that would have gone. Like
yeah,
yogurt and peanuts, I think I recall one article talking about. And, she was I'm getting, she knew I got to get this demo on the air. I have to do it. And she found a way to get it done. And it went as soon as it just took off. But she did not let her circumstances or what was going on around her affect any of that, affect
precisely,
her why.
precisely, because she
Yeah.
she wanted to feel that, what it was that she was feeling inside,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And as a result of that, look at how it turned out for her,
Yeah.
right?
And I
So,
don't think everybody's story turns out like that, but these are just some examples that, when you're reading books and you're seeing that. But I mean, even if you just did like a quarter of that or got like a fourth of the way there, or imagine how life-changing that could be for you
oh,
to, if money is what's I
part
think holding people back, because I do think it holds people back. from
It does.
going
And
down this road, you
it
know?
really does. And part of it has to do with our conditioning because we put that as the at the forefront,
Hmm.
right? We think about the financial obligations that we have on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, and we try to figure that part of it first.
Hmm.
What I think what really I'm trying to get to is first, let's try to figure out what it is we want to do, what we want to become,
Hmm.
and then have that on the beam.
Hmm.
Put that on the beam. Put that
Yeah.
put that in the forefront of everything. If we have to bridge our way there, and we probably will have to bridge our way there because that is the way life works, right? You can't just
Hmm.
jump from point A to point B, right?
Hmm.
Put that on the beam. This is what would really be fulfilling for me. This is what I would really love to do. This is what really would light me up. For example, in my case, I love to write. I love to have conversations like this with you. I could have this conversation all day.
I know we could talk all day. This could be a 5 hour show, right? But we won't do that to everybody.
But this is really what I want to get to. Put it on the beam, even if
Yeah.
you are currently in the midst of doing the biggest case of your life, but you feel that ache inside of you. You feel that there is something else that I would really love to do, something else that I would really love to experience.
Hmm.
Remember, this is the one life that we're given.
Hmm.
This is the one life. And someone is waiting for you to do the thing that is aching within your heart, right?
Hmm.
Someone else is waiting for you to help with that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the tools in this book will definitely, if you don't know right now when you're in the midst of, oh my goodness, but you don't know what I'm struggling with. You don't know the size of the mortgage that I have. You don't know the caseload that I have, the people that are depending on me. I have been there. I have
Hmm.
experienced it. And one of the reasons that I had to write this book is all of the mistakes that I made without first really settling into why,
Hmm.
right? I hadn't even gotten to why not, right?
Right.
I
Right.
haven't even gotten to why not. Michelangelo says that one of the things that haunts us more is that if we can aim too low and possibly hit it, so why not aim really big?
Hmm.
And big could mean that it doesn't have to necessarily do with size. It could mean the thing that I want to experience during my lifetime.
Hmm. And if I could, and I hope you're okay with this, I wanted to kind of piggyback off of that because obviously I've read the book.
Mhm.
And I know you had sent me, I think the first chapter, I did kind of like a pre-review,
Yes,
and which I was so grateful you included that. And thank you for doing that on the book.
you're welcome.
But
Mhm.
I would like to just say, even too, for people who are kind of like saying that, to like you were saying, you've been there, I've been there, and like I've, much like so many people in this country, I had to do a boom, reset, restart from bottom, literal rock bottom.
Mhm.
And you know more about my story than most people do, but for me, so like for example, my big thing, I love my why is really about building self-confidence for the outside portion. And part of my story is and I want to, and the reason I want to share this, Nicole, I hope you're okay with it,
And
is I
yes,
took some of the stuff
yes,
from the book, the things that you told me to do.
yes,
And this is how I'm bridging it for money and
yes.
for, or I should say for financial,
I'd love
like,
to
okay,
hear.
this
I'd
is
love
going to
to hear.
help me
Yes,
get to doing what I love to do as a full-time thing.
yes.
Okay. So
Mhm.
hopefully this will help somebody who's listening. Are you okay if I do that?
Oh,
Just to,
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. That's the whole point.
Okay. But okay, well, I just wanted to make sure. So, because I know we didn't talk about that beforehand. So, a couple of things that you were talking about, like I kind of just jotted down. I did through the exercises. I won't go into those because I think people need to read the book and do it for themselves because it's going to be different for everybody. But two things
Yes.
that I have started doing,
Mhm.
with building people's confidence with how their outside appearance, because whether people want to admit it or not, we are judged by our appearance. People, do make decisions, snap decisions about us. So whether you're interviewing or you're going into court or you're applying for a new job or you got laid off or you're starting a new business, maybe you're going to be doing a speaking gig, I don't know.
Yes.
People always want to make sure they question, how do I look? And a lot of people they flounder with that.
Mm.
I'm very big on the color side, of knowing your seasons and wearing the right colors to evoke emotions. And that is for some people, it can be very, oh gosh, I don't believe in that. It's almost like energy and the law of attraction, and that's okay. They don't have to.
Yeah.
But my thing is that when I work with people, I want them to feel more confident when we're done. They are more confident to go out there and do what they need to do,
Yes.
to set the world on fire.
Mhm.
So, it has been slow going for me. So, one of the things that I learned from your book that I'm implementing, or well, actually, it's two things. So, I talked earlier about internships. I had an internship program when I had my company, and I had perfected that to a point where, I would have people come in for internships. They were unpaid, but I would ask them 5 questions like, what do you want to learn about? What are you interested in? And some of them would tell me, I'm interested in podcasting, or I want to, do graphic design. Okay, great. You get to work on the magazine. You can you can co-host with me on the podcast. And if I couldn't teach them what they wanted to learn, I would connect them with someone. So I'm kind of doing a new, like an internship program for the law firms to say, hey, I'll come in and I'll work with your interns that are coming on board and help them kind of get assimilated, help them with, the dress code and, do their colors and help them feel more confident because they're brand new. So that's a way for me to, have my gifts and really help somebody who needs it and bring in money.
Yes.
The other thing that I'm doing is as I back in the day, many, when I was younger, I modeled. So I've been on both sides of the camera. I've worked in the modeling industry. So I do love photography. It's been a hobby of mine for many years, but I also do headshots, for photo shoots. And one thing that I do with that photo shoot is okay, we're going to do your colors because I need to make sure you're wearing the right colors for your headshot, so people see you, and I work with them on being comfortable with posing, how to pose for a photo shoot, and, so they're looking their best and they're going to feel comfortable the next time they have to have their photo done as well if I'm not around. And they know their colors and what, like, hey, I'm going into a mediation. So, like, you're wearing pink, like, pink is such a soothing color and
Yeah.
it gets people to calm down. So I know I need to wear, these are my versions of pink that I need to have in my wardrobe. So that's another thing I can do to generate income and do what I'm passionate about and
Yes.
help people.
Yes.
It's like a three-prong win. So those were two things that ideas that I kind of generated just from going through the book.
Carrie, I
So
so love it.
yeah, so I just, again, just to kind of give people, because, again, I know there's people who are probably like, "Ugh, I just, I don't have
Yes.
time for this. I don't have, but it's like, again, if you really want it, and I think, again, I think sometimes when people get to, I did have someone who told me one time who's older, she's about 20, 25 years older than me. And her comment was, and it got me really depressed, to be honest with you. But it made me sad for her because she was saying, I don't have to worry about money because of, I had a really good job. She's got a really good, secure retirement. She had the same job for most of her life, or I should say, worked for the same company. And she's like, but I never have to worry about money. And, you need to think about that. I don't want you to struggle. I don't, and again, I know that that's somebody putting their fears on you.
Yes.
And I knew she meant well. I didn't take it that way, but it made me sad for her because this is also somebody who is super creative,
Mhm.
creating like crafts and just different, really beautiful, beautiful things. And I'm like, it makes me wonder, like, yeah, you don't have to worry about money, but are you happy? Because I don't
Yes.
think this person's happy,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and it makes me really sad because, again, I think, like you said, this is the only life that we have, and we need to, you know,
Yeah.
get as much joy out of it as we can,
Absolutely. Squeeze as much juice as we can. And Carrie, I love the fact that how you're beaming out how you want your contribution, how you want your service to go. You're
Right.
beaming it out in these different directions, right? And the trajectory might not be immediate, but you have it on a certain beam.
Right.
And this is
Right.
what I love. Eventually, I believe your passion will pay off in
Hmm.
more ways than one.
Yeah.
Eventually, not just financially, but emotionally, but the service that you provide to so many. Think of all the people that you impact when you impact the various lawyers and the doctors that you work with, and then all the people that they impact in their service and in their employment,
Hmm.
right? You're not just
Right.
impacting one individual that you may be working with at the time, you're impacting all the people that they employ and
Hmm.
all the people that they're serving.
Right.
That is
And
why,
that's, yeah, and that was something I wanted to share that because again, I think anybody who's listening kind of like, well, how does this, okay, great, I found my why, but I don't know how I'm going to make, because I think that's like you said, it's default. Everybody kind of goes to that. Like,
mhm,
how am I going to make, and again, I think if you really want to do, you're going to find a way.
yes,
And I have found too, just from the things that I do, even just with color, like there's clothing lines that I offer. Those can be, and it's not the exact same thing. Like, do I want to sell clothing? Not
mhm,
really, but it's something that's helpful. They're learning their colors and like, hey, I really need more navy suits, or I need more gray suits, or I need more whatever. It's great to have and if that funds what you're doing too, it's kind of like the little I'm trying to think of a good analogy to here, but I can't think of one, but it's almost like the little you're building a boat and this is all planks that are gonna keep the leaks out, to get you on your destination.
yes,
And you like I said, sometimes it's just thinking outside the box. That's why, going back to that, I think if you created a why community online where people could come together and support one another, but also to share those different ideas, because I think sometimes too people don't, like, even artists. I've seen one thing that I've told artists to do. I'm like, you should go to restaurants, put your artwork on their wall, put it up for
yes,
sale,
and
give
rotate
them
it.
a position, yeah, and give them a commission if they sell it,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
people are
that's
enjoying your artwork. They see
and
it.
it's a way of monetizing your talents.
Yeah.
And think of the joy that you create when someone comes into that particular restaurant. They
Hmm.
look at the artwork and they're just mesmerized by it, or they're just curious about it.
Hmm.
Think of that, right?
Right.
And that's why I
Right.
say sometimes, going back to our earlier conversation when we're in college and we focus on, well, you need to get this job because it pays more than that one, or this one has, more potential for growth. Sometimes I think perhaps that's not necessarily the right way to start out,
Hmm.
but it is to understand who you are
Right.
so that we don't get to the place where we're like I did, where I suffered from so much burnout.
Hmm.
Granted, I recovered from it, right? But it
Hmm.
took a lot of work to recover from it. And that's
Yeah.
why I love what you do, because you don't have to go through all the stuff that we go through, that we've been through to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes it's just part of your journey,
True.
Nicole.
It
It's
is.
just part of the journey. And so I think for some people, they have to experience the journey to get there. Like I'm a big believer in energy, and
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in, the universe. Nothing will, there's somebody on YouTube that says this, and I'm probably going to chop it up, but basically she says, whatever's meant for you will never pass you by.
It's true.
However, if you're going in the wrong direction, the
Mhm.
universe is going to make you so uncomfortable,
Yes.
so miserable until you turn around and go the other way.
No,
Because,
and don't you feel it in your system as well?
yeah, you
It
do.
kind
I
of,
think physically the cortisol levels go up and you're stressed and there is a huge difference. And
yes.
I know, like I said, there are times where I've had things going so well in my life because I'm on that path,
Mhm.
of where I'm supposed to be going. And you sleep through the night, you digest your food better, you're happier, you get up in the morning, you got a spring in your step. Like, you literally will get up in the morning and there's no, like, you don't really need an alarm. You just jump up out of bed and it's like, hey,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you get to that point how the energy just shifts and everything starts to go that way, so yeah, again, so I just wanted to share some of the things I was doing that I was able to implement after going through the full book, and again, I've got a link below. Everybody, please go check it out. I know you'll love it. It's a paperback book. It's an easy read.
Yes.
Like you can read through it pretty quickly, but you want to do the exercises. That takes a little bit more time. But it's about
Please,
125 pages, so
please do
um,
the exercises. Okay.
yeah. Oh, that's key. But just thinking in terms of time, it's not like it's a huge like 500-page book, but it's just a wonderful book. How to Find Your Why. You can get it on Amazon. You can get. I think you also have it on your website too, right?
I
Or
do. It's on
no?
my
It's
website as
on. Okay.
well,
Yeah.
thinkbrave.net.
So I have a link below too, so people can check out your website and talk with you directly. But give some more thought to having a community online. I think that would
I would
really,
love it because I think we could make such a difference for ourselves, for our families, and also just share, just being a community that is sharing positive things about how we're doing,
mhm,
why we're doing.
right,
Would love
right,
it.
absolutely. So that is pretty much a wrap today. And I just wanted to ask you too, in closing, Nicole, do you have anything else? I know you just launched the book. Anything else coming up on the horizons? Any new
Yes, coming
media
up on.
appearances or things that you're doing that you want to let everybody know about? Or
Oh, absolutely. I am going to have a launch of the book on a webinar, and I'll give you the dates as they come up. But you can also find me on Substack at Nikki Chaplin. One of the other things that I'm doing, you can also tap into my coaching services, and I'd love to hear from you, love to hear your story, and
yeah.
just love to share. So, yes, my coaching services. I'd love you to be part of that, and I'll also love you to be part of the webinar when that comes around.
Oh, wonderful. I would be honored to do that. Absolutely. So that is a wrap for today's episode of Chromatic Counsel. If you enjoyed the episode and what Nicole shared with you resonates with you and helps you, I hope you will click the like button, click subscribe so you know when we publish another episode. And if you are an attorney, or someone within the legal industry and you'd like to be a guest on the show, there's a link in the show notes below. Click on that. You can fill out the form to see if we can have you on the show as a guest. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I hope you can tune in next time. And as always, we are wishing you continued success.